Entrepreneurs on born that brew. You are now listening to the Entrepreneur Podcast with your host, Adam McChesney. Let's grow.
Welcome to the Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Adam McChesney, and I want to thank you for being here today. Thank you to Half Coast Studios for all that they do in getting the podcast produced and distributed, along with sponsoring the show. If you're looking to start your podcast or take your current one to the next level, then you definitely need to come check out what they have going on. Contact them today for a free consultation. And if you're listening, please be sure to subscribe to the show and leave a 5-star review on Apple and Spotify. We would love for you to share this on social media by tagging me and our guest, and this way we can get this incredible content out to more people. Today, we have another great episode lined up for you. He and I originally connected earlier this year online. One of my clients ended up hiring him and his company to help build out a coaching and training platform. And from there, we got introduced. I'm a member of his networking and mastermind community and have had the privilege to speak at one of his events, be a guest on his podcast, and provide value to his community. This guest is someone that operates with a help-first mentality, has a vast range of experience and expertise on building and growing businesses, and is an all-around great guy. Since his return from the hot desert of Iraq in 2007, he has built several businesses ranging from the fitness and martial arts industry to marketing and advertising and now consulting. His mission is to arm small business owners with the right tools and resources needed to grow their business, giving them the direct path to bypass the struggles he had to endure so they can achieve the life and business that they desire. My guest today is J.R. Spear. He is the founder and partner of BLN, which is Business Leaders Network, and owner at Creed Consulting. He's also a speaker and author. He does it all. J.R., welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, excited to have you on here. I know just in talking with you, there's so much value and you have a vast variety of experience, as I mentioned, and really excited to dig into your story a little bit more. I know a lot about it, but I'm excited for our audience to learn more. So in the Entrepreneur Podcast, we like to compare your entrepreneurial journey to that of the beer brewing process. So to get started, we want to know a little bit more about you, your history, kind of where you came from, all those good things, and what you're working on right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, you already kind of told it all, but I grew up in the martial arts industry. So from a young age, since 3 years old, I started training in the martial arts, growing up in a family-owned business, teaching since I was about 10 or 11. And then, like most young kids, especially boys, I was a little rebel, get in trouble and had no direction of where I wanted to go in life. So right out of high school, I decided I was going to go to the military. And that was pretty much encouraged by my grandmother, who was a huge influence in my life and just kind of really directed me along that path. And the military pretty much changed my life, because I always say, if I didn't go to the military, I'd either be in jail or dead, and, just doing the wrong things and hanging around with the wrong people and just constantly getting in trouble and just not really having any direction of what I want to do. So in the military, I was a chaplain's assistant, meaning I was security for the chaplain. Chaplains are non-combatants, so they had someone like me that provided security. And in 2006 and 2007, I deployed to Iraq and had one specific incident that pretty much changed the whole trajectory of my entire life, where I was involved standing feet away from a guy that killed himself at a suicide bomb at a walk-in but with a suicide bomb at a walk-in checkpoint. And even though I was the closest one to them, it was the biggest bloodbath you could ever imagine. We lost several of our other Marines and a lot of injuries and a lot of blood that was shed and sacrifices that were made. And it taught me a lot about how to lead, but also the importance of being prepared, what I call your ambush. Because, in business, all of us are going to get ambushed sometime in our life. But an ambush may not always look like a suicide bomber or a gun being pointed at you, but an ambush could be as simple as, losing a top client, or it could be losing a key employee. It could be a child in your family getting sick that you have to give attention to, or a wide variety of things like COVID. So many people suffered during COVID and weren't prepared for that ambush. And so the military, that instance of getting blown up with a suicide bomber, taught me so much about being prepared and having the right steps to making sure that you are ready for the day that you get ambushed. So since I got back from Iraq, I really went right into the entrepreneur world right away. Started a martial arts school out of St. Louis, Missouri, built that up after a few years, sold it, and then started a fitness business and had launched that to 4 different cities in less than 2.5 to 3 years, and did that for about a decade. And then I moved across the country from St. Louis to the DC area and wanted to still keep on the entrepreneur journey, but I was just kind of done with the fitness space for a while. But I had a passion for business. I got a bachelor's degree in business. I've had many mentors and coaches, invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in myself. and realized that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to teach. I wanted to show people how to build businesses. I want to teach people how to navigate through the struggles that I went through so that way they can build a business that they desire. Because there's a lot of great coaching out there, a lot of great education services, but there's also a lot of really bad ones. And I wanted to do my part and be able to serve the community that I love so much and really get back to those. So I had the martial art school, I had the fitness business. I built a franchise publication called through Into Publishing, did that for about 3 years. I've done a lot of B2B sales for about 7 years, and then which constituted a lot of traveling. I launched my first book this year in 2022. Well, last year in 2022. And now I travel the entire country speaking all over the place and helping small business owners and just doing the things that I love. And it's been quite the journey.
Love it. I appreciate you giving us a little insight on your history, your experience. As I mentioned, I mean, you've done so much, and I think just talking with people that have been connected with you, as I mentioned, you operate with that help first mentality. You provide value and over deliver, and good things come back. You know, when we put good things out in the world and we help people, it comes back tenfold. So talk to us a little bit about both Creed Consulting as well as the Business Leaders Network to kind of give the audience a little bit more information about those programs.
Yeah. So for Creed Consulting, I've made some shifts and pivots in what I'm doing. And now it's geared more towards the established entrepreneur, giving them a full done for you service and helping them build their evergreen systems. So like someone that is saying they want to build a coaching program or something like that, I'm going to teach them from start to finish. I have 4 different phases where we go through foundations of business, where we build out the business plan, then we build out the systems and processes, then we build out the branding and positioning, as well as teach them about sales and marketing to generate those leads. But it's a full done for you service where we create like their program. We actually fly out to them with our video team and shoot their courses, their SOPs. We do the full design aspect. We build out their membership program, the lead mags, the membership sites, the landing pages, the sales pages, everything that they need to be able to run their business, and even teaching them how to teach to a community so that way they're being more effective. So it's not just building out the program. Now I'm actually being the support and showing them how to be effective and efficient with the way they do. And we talked about the client, and I don't mind mentioning his name, but his name's Kyle Landwehr. And he's a 22-year-old kid that built a 7-figure junk removal business. You were a huge part of it and getting that going. And he found me on Facebook and was like, hey, I need a funnel. Well, that funnel, he had no clue what he wanted. He just was told from the online space that he needed a funnel. And I was like, okay, well, let's dive a little bit in. Ultimately, we built out his entire coaching program. So again, I flew out to him in St. Louis. We built out his entire program, his SOPs and his training. And now he's doing more than $100,000 a month in the first few months of working with me. And he's on track where he told me today that he sees him making upwards of $200,000 to $500,000 a month in his coaching program alone for what we built him. And it hasn't even been a year, and he's crushing. I'm like, man, I got to learn from you. But he's a go-getter, and he goes out there and he really makes things happen, and he's been pretty phenomenal. But that's what we do with that. And I'm only take on 20 clients a year for that services, because it's a very high ticket, and I want to make sure I give the time and attention to those that I work with. And we got about 8 or 9 more spots left for 2023. So really on target to really do that, and just been amazing. Business Leaders Network, it happened because of a need that I saw a lot of my clients struggling with. And I started thinking about, like, I was already doing free groups and happy hours and things like that, but I was trying to teach my clients on how to network, how to go out there, how to build their messages. And either they weren't not going out there and doing it, or they just didn't know how to do it and have the confidence. So I was like, screw it. I'm going to build my own community and make it a paid membership and bring people together. And it's been amazing. In less than 2.5 months, 3 months of launching it, we're already close to 100 members, and our goal is to hit 1,000 members by the end of the year. But what I equate the numbers to in the community is not just a dollar or another body in a seat. What I equate those numbers to, it means more connections, more members equals more connections, which equals more business for everyone. Because every time there's a new body, new energy, and new face inside of our community, it's another connection that someone within our BLN community is able to connect with, but also change and impact their lives. And so we're launching the Business Leaders Network University. We have our master classes every week. We do breakout rooms and open networking. We're launching this week our Members Corner, where we're allowing our members to actually lead a workshop and class every week. And then that'll be plugged into our university. And then we do monthly happy hours in different cities, as well as our BLN Live, which is our entrepreneur summits, what we're calling it now. every quarter. So we just did our first one in DC, and now we're doing the next one in St. Louis, Missouri on March 23rd and 25th, which everyone needs to be there. Too bad you're going to miss out. So
I know
it's going to be fun.
bummed. Yeah, no, absolutely. And we'll put links to all that so that way people can find out more about the event,
Appreciate
as
that.
well as just the community, and obviously Creed Consulting as well, here in the show notes. But just some things that caught my attention as you were talking that I want to reiterate to the audience is, when most people think of something that they need, right, they read it online, and like Kyle, for example, is like, oh, I need a funnel. And he had reached out to me. He's like, hey, I need a funnel. I'm like, dude, you need way more than a funnel. I know I'm not the right person to be able to do that. And that's where so many people go wrong, is because they get misinformation and then they pay somebody to do that. And then it's not anything remotely of what they need. And I think that's a huge issue across business, regardless of the industry, but especially in the online space. And so I love your approach where you're like, we're only going to take on 20 clients. We're going to dedicate the right amount of time, and we're not just going to build you something. We're actually going to help you create the nuts and the bolts of the entire business. And you're going to get access to everything that you've already gone through in business, to be like, hey, here's why you got to do it. And you got to do it this way, because I've already made all those mistakes. A lot of people will sell somebody something and be like, hey, see ya, good luck. And if you have any issues, like, let me know. But it's more of an afterthought. So I really love your approach there. And I've seen it in real time have a massive effect. Secondarily, I am a part of the Business Leaders Network. And I will say that just the camaraderie of the online space right now, so many people are struggling to find a connection, and multiple connections at that. And what you guys do with the weekly trainings, with the happy hours, with the university and the members corner, I just think it's so unique. So if you're listening to this and you're like, man, I like doing local stuff, but I really like the online aspect, and I want to be outside of just my immediate, market. Cause I think that's also a struggle too, is people are always just looking for in-person things that they can go to. And those are important, don't get me wrong. But what you guys have built and created in such a short period of time is phenomenal. So I definitely recommend people checking that out and giving it a look.
It's been fun. I appreciate it. And going back to what you said in regards to like, what I'm doing and really serving people after we even build it out, to me, it starts with the heart and leading with the servant's heart, but also building a community. And there was a period of time, even in my coaching business, where I was just killing it. I was getting sale after sale. Talk about Kyle, like out there just getting new sales nonstop every single day, and made a heck of a lot of money doing it. But I wasn't being fulfilled and satisfied in the long term. And I would get on calls with some of these clients, and I'm like sweating and just stressed out. I'm like, I don't even want to talk to this person. Like they're not aligned with the vision or what I even want to do, or even core values. And I started reflecting on myself and be like, man, I'm treating my business like a transaction. Well, one thing people need to understand is the one thing that people value most in life is their own name and who they are. And if you start making people feel like a transaction, well, you're going to miss the whole the value of what you can even give. I mean, you're not doing your client a good service, and you're not doing yourself a good service. So, but when you switch it from changing it from treating people like a transaction and just serving them with a leader's heart and just over delivering on that capacity, everything changes, because now you're doing it from a servant's heart, and then you're excited about the things that you're doing. And when I did that, I ended up firing a ton of staff. I had like 9 support staff I fired. I had like 7 salespeople I fired. I had like a ton of coaches. I have 4 coaches I fired, all within 1 month period. And then I fired like a handful of clients too, which cost me more than $15,000 to $20,000 in monthly revenue. And I did so because I knew that wasn't the path that God had for me, and I needed to change it. And it hurt. It took me about 3 months to recover from it. But once I did, I'll tell you, I'm way more satisfied. I enjoy my life. I'm not worried when I travel and I have to work with clients, because I'm working with people that I love, that are like me, that understand that we got things going on, but we could do it from anywhere. I mean, I can have a coaching call from my phone, 10, 15 minutes in Vegas while they're on the other side of the world, and we're still making things happen. And I love that. And I'm creating the life and the business that I desire, but it all starts with the going after the mission, the vision that God's called you to do, but also leading with the servant's heart. When you do that, you're going to be unstoppable, and you're going to enjoy doing what you do.
That's powerful. Yeah, no, I love talking about that pivot, because it's crucial, and it does hurt, but you obviously came out on the other side, and you're doing all right. So I love to hear that. I'm very interested to get your thoughts here. We like to talk about key ingredients in order to be successful in business. What are 3 things that have made you successful in your journey thus far?
Well, I'll talk about three things that I've identified that have helped me now that I know I can pick up and start a business any day. Like if I lost Business Leaders Network and went down to zero, I can pick up and start a new business yesterday. And it boils down to not just three things, but there's a couple. This is what I call your foundations. It always starts with the first one, which is your mission. And keep in mind, I use very much military strategies for everything that I do, because the greatest business ever created, that in my personal opinion, is the Marine Corps, because they have a system for every system, and it doesn't matter where you go in the world, the operation is always going to be moving forward. And so it always starts with your mission. And when you got your mission, it boils down to your purpose, your identity, your destination. What do you need to accomplish? Then you got to know your ideal client, so which I call your perfect client. Then you got to know your messaging, which I call your big promise. Then you got to know the problems you're solving, which is your big 7. And then once you got that, then you put it together and create your irresistible offer that people can't refuse. But those 5 key foundational pieces is ultimately what helps shape every business, every offer, everything that I do. So if I'm saying, hey, I need to start something new, I boil down to the foundations of the business, and that's where I start. And that's ultimately changed my life. I mean, it took me a long time to really figure that out. And even in the order, because I can't figure out my messaging if I don't know who I'm going after. I can't figure out who I'm going after if I don't even know where I'm going. I can't figure out the problems I'm solving if I don't know my messaging or the people I'm going after, or even the mission that I'm even accomplishing. So it all boils down. And even in combat, we do, like before I stepped foot in the sandbox of Iraq, we had to first identify who our enemy was, your target audience. You figure out the enemy, and then we had to figure out the problems that we might come against. Okay, you got IEDs, you got ambushes, you got suicide bombers, you got snipers, you got all these different things. Well, how do we train to make sure we're prepared for those different things? So now you got the training and the tools and the plan that's going to help you create and combat those different situations. And that's the same thing in business. We got to start with the end result and identify the key problems and the target audience that we're going after. But then we got to create that plan that's going to help us achieve that mission. Hopefully that answered your question.
No, it definitely did. And I really like how you talk about basically what I would refer to as like reverse engineering with the end in mind and working
100%.
backwards. Yeah. I think that's what people struggle all the time with in business. And I really also like how you talk about like, hey, I could go start a business tomorrow or yesterday, as you mentioned. And that's kind of how I feel now. But it took 3 years worth of like figuring all this stuff out for me to be able to truly understand what exactly you're talking about. So for the audience listening, like go back and listen to what he just said. Those foundational things are literally key to life, business, and anything that you do.
There's really no excuse of why someone should be poor in today's world. I mean, there's so much information and like free information, so many opportunities that anyone can have. And the only reason why someone will not be successful where they're at is due to their own self and having excuses and just getting out of their own head. It boils down to what is a creed. It boils down to commitment, resilience, excellence, execution, and discipline. Action creates momentum that leads to success. So if you want to be able to get anywhere in life, you got to get up and just take action and move and do it constantly every single day. And something that I teach about calling your daily pile, which is inside of my book. With a daily pile are 4 key non-negotiable tasks that every entrepreneur needs to do every single day. And if they do it, there's no reason why they wouldn't have a successful business. It's producing daily content, improving your products and services and your customer experience, leadership, focusing on leading yourself, personal development, leading your team, leading your clients, and then E, expand your network. And if you focus on those 4 things every single day, there's no reason why you wouldn't have a business.
Yeah, extremely powerful. Love that. Talking about the next segue where we go into fermentation and conditioning within the beer brewing process. So obviously that's where taking a look at the beer, tasting it, figuring out what tastes really well and where you can improve on that. If you're talking to an entrepreneur that's just getting started or that's struggling, what's one key lesson that you would give to them that would save them years worth of mistakes?
Dude, that answer is so simple. Hire a damn coach, period. No, seriously, because every time that I think that I can do it on my own is where I actually struggle and fail. But every time I had that support system or that person that was aligned and had what I wanted to be able to go after is where I was able to go. I mean, gosh, before I got into the online space, this is back in 2016 and 17, I thought making $1,000 or even $2,000 a month online would change my entire life. I'm like, man, how do people do this? And didn't really understand it. And then I ended up hiring a coach and joined a mastermind group. And I get in this mastermind, it's full of like 300 plus people inside of there, and a high percentage, not all of them, but there was a good high percentage where people were making upwards of 20, 30, 50, $100,000 months. I was like, how in the heck are they doing this? And so I started networking and getting to know who they were and really feeding what they're consuming. And here's the big thing. You got to hire a coach, but you also got to change your environment. because we are influenced by the people that we are surrounding ourselves with, but also the people that we surround ourselves with is going to be the information we consume into our computer in our brain. So if we're listening to people do things a certain way, just subconsciously, we're going to be adapting to the way that they do it. And so I'm a very competitive person. So I no joke, inside of this group, within about 3 months, I was one of the probably the top 10 people in the entire community of over 300 people. I went from barely making $1,000 a month online to 2 to 5 to 10 to 50 to $100,000 months, and doing it consistently. And it's because I started learning and listening to what these people were doing inside of that community, and it really rubbed off and adapted to me. But the first advice that I recommend any single person is to hire a coach. Now, when it comes to hiring a coach, there's a lot of different things you want to look for. One, they got to be aligned with the vision that you have. Two, they have to be able to have what you want to achieve. If you want to go hire a coach, let's just say a marketer, and I'm sure this is going to rub off on a lot of other people's, piss people off when I say this though, but I can't stand it when you got a marketer that's trying to teach a fitness coach on how to build their business, because they're like, oh yeah, I can coach you on how to do this. But the problem is, yes, they can help with the marketing and they can coach them on different aspects, but they haven't gone through the shit to teach them how to go through the trials that they're going to overcome. So if you want help in your fitness space, you need to find someone that's actually built a fitness business and that has been able to do it well. If you want to be help in business, you got to find someone that's been able to build businesses. If you want someone that you want to build an marketing agency, find someone that's been really successful at a marketing agency. Don't go out there and try to go hire a marketer and say, hey, I want you to coach me on how to build my fitness business, when they've never done anything in fitness. I see this all the time because people go and watch the One Funnel Away challenge by Russell Brunson, or read his Expert Secrets books, which the books are amazing. I learned a lot from them. But they think because they read those books that they can go out there and teach everyone how to build a business. And that's a bunch of bullshit. Excuse my language, but that's the type of stuff that really annoys me. But number one advice, go out there, hire a coach, and make sure that they have gone through what you've done and they're aligned with your vision, and then they got what you want to have.
Yeah, no, I love that. I literally made a post today on social media talking about, like, someone had asked me the other day, hey, I really seen you take off in the last 3 to 6 months. I'm like, no, I've been doing this for 3 years. You're just now noticing it. They asked me if there was one shortcut, like, what did you take? I'm like, the only thing I've done that most people didn't do is I hired coaches, I joined masterminds, and I invested in myself. I refer to it as condensing time with information of people that have already done what I'm looking to do. And I also only take advice from people that have what I have, just as you mentioned. And people flip-flop it and do it the exact wrong way. So I totally agree with you there.
There's something really interesting about what you just said, because like when I hired my coach, the one coach, I mean, I've had coaches since I got back from Iraq in 2007. And, but the coach that I hired in 2017, I never had an Instagram account. He was like, Jerry, you got to go on Instagram. You got to do this. I was like, hell no. Why am I going to go on Instagram? I'm on Facebook, whatever. I hated social media, like with a passion. I never did anything, even with my fitness business. I never did anything with social media. He had to shift my mindset. He was like, hey, I want you to stop calling it social media. I want you to call it business media. For me, it clicked instantly, because now I show up, when I show up on business media, any platform, I start looking at it as a meeting or an audience. I look at my profiles as my personal stage, and every friend and every follower is a seat that's being filled. And I get the opportunity to serve those 5,000 people on Facebook, or those however many people on Instagram or TikTok, wherever it may be. And it's a platform that people are like, hey, I want to be on more stages. Like, you got a free stage right here. Go out here and do it. But here's the thing that I wanted to say to compliment what you just said. When I started going on business media and started producing content, you should be a much bigger producer than a consumer. If you're going to be a consumer, then you really need to really reflect your time, because the things that we spend our most time with and the things that we spend the most money with are the things that we value most in life. And if you're spending too much time on business media, social media, or on needless things that you're buying, then your priorities need to get shifted. Going back though, I was consistently every single day followed everything that my coach told me to do. And when it comes to producing content, the type of content, everything. And for more than 2 years, it was crickets. Nothing. I was still building my business, but I got no likes. I got no comments. I got no one to follow me or anything like that. I mean, if I got 2 followers a week, I was like having a party. I was like, heck yeah, I got more followers and more friends. But here's the crazy thing is that content has, like, if they Google my name, I am all over Google, 100% natural. Because of that, there was a point in time I'll never forget. I started getting clients that be like, dude, JR, I see you everywhere. I see your website. I see your podcast. I see you like on Google and all these interviews. I'm like, back in my head, I was like, I don't even have a website. I don't have a podcast this time. I was like, but they're seeing my content because it started showing up everywhere. So even though I was having crickets, it was a solid 2 years, maybe a little bit longer where there's nothing. But you got to look at it as almost like Netflix, because eventually you're going to get that one piece of content that resonates with the people at that exact time. And if you don't have past content that you didn't produce because you were scared that no one was watching, and so you gave up, you got nothing for those people to watch your stuff now. Now, when people go and see my content, they may not comment or like, but they're going back years worth of content. And I am so stinking consistent in my messaging, even from 5+ years ago, that they're going to hear the same thing then that I'm telling you guys right now.
Yep.
And then the belief and the trust that they have in you is so much greater. Reason why people fail is they give up too easy.
Mm-hmm.
They don't take action and they give up too easy. So just like you, when you hear people saying, hey, when did you start going on posting content and all these things? Like, I've always been doing it. They just haven't seen it at the right time. And the way I see it is like, hey, you saw it at the right time, the right place, which is perfect. Let's talk. Yeah. But if you're not producing content right now, you're missing a massive opportunity, especially while the platforms are free for you to be able to do it. Because every time you produce something online in any capacity, it increases your search of visibility on any search engine.
Yeah.
Everything.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
But if you're not producing, you're not going to be seen.
Yeah.
Don't be the best kept secret. You want more business, you got to get seen. You want more business, you got to tell more people. You want more business, you got to grow your network. You got to talk to people. You got to pick the phone. You got to cold message people. You got to serve. Because why is anyone, if you want to be able to get something of high value from anyone, if I want Adam to pay attention to me, guess what? I need to pay attention to you first. Yep. I can't expect you to give me your business and for you to give me everything that I want from you if I'm not going to give back any love back to you. So you got to be able to give before you receive. And that goes to producing content. That goes to be serving your community and all the different aspects that goes along with it. And if you're not, don't expect anything in return, because they're not going to do it. People want to feel valued. They want to feel appreciated. They want to be seen. They want to be heard. And if you're going to do that, you're going to get it right back to you 10 times over.
Absolutely. No, that's powerful. So as we're wrapping up the episode here, there's been so much incredible information, nuggets of insights. Appreciate you sharing all that stuff, JR. Yep. Talk to us about what's next with Creed Consulting, with Business Leaders Network. Talk about some of the amazing things that you have going on here in 2023 and beyond.
Well, I got about 9 more spots left in my my coaching program. So if you're a coach out there and you want a full done for you service, give me a call. I would love to walk you through on how I can help you 2x, if not 10x your business over the next 12 months. I mean, no joke. I have a client that started working with me at the beginning of December, and she pretty much almost reached her entire investment with me in the first month. And that's not uncommon. And she's for her, the biggest change, honestly, was I had to work on her head and get her to change her belief in what her offers was. She went from selling $2,500 programs, and now she's selling 3 and 4 month programs for $5,000 and $6,000. More than double what she's doing it, and she's still getting every single person to say yes. Yep. And so she's made back her investment almost the entire thing in the first month of working with me. So if she's able to do that in the first month, just think about where she's going to be in the next 12 months. So 8 spots left. They want a full done for you service, and let me show them how they can actually 10x their business. I can do that. And then for BLN, if they're looking to grow their network and they're like, hey, I want to be connected with some industry leaders that are doing 6, 7, 8 figure earners and really want to make an impact and just have connections with people that they more than likely would not have access to, Business Leaders Network is going to be the best place for them to do that. And we're building something really special. Our next event, March 23rd and 25th in St. Louis. And you can go to blnlive.com. That's blnlive.com and register there. And, lastly, if you guys saying, hey, you know what, I can't come to the event and I'm not sure about BLN, grab a copy of my book. It's called The Success Guide to Building Your Coaching Empire. And that's good for any entrepreneur. But I walk through the 4 non-negotiable tasks of the daily pile. And that's a step-by-step blueprint that can help you guys build your foundation, get your business started and going. And you can grab a copy at jrspear.com. This is JR SPEAR.com. And love to support you there and send you a copy.
Love it. Well, we'll put all that stuff in the show notes. JR, it was an amazing episode. Thank you so much for coming on.
No, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
And I want to thank you again to the guests for tuning into today's podcast. Please be sure to subscribe, download, and share our content. Leaving a 5-star review goes a long way. And we'll see you all next week. Remember, entrepreneurs aren't born, they are brewed.
I'm I'm an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs on born, they're brewed. Thank you for listening to Entrepreneur Podcast with your host, Adam McChesney. Let's